Yes, I know I've been a little bit quiet lately. I think it's been around 10 days since I last posted a video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this, a brand new truck from the guys at KFPLAN. This thing looks super cool, so let's just get straight into it. So this thing is brand new from KFPLAN. It's 1/12 scale. It's known as the KP Fast. Now, initial impressions, I really like the body and I like the colour choice. This thing has an LED light bar at the front, although it is positioned behind the body, and I'm already noticing the plastics on this are really flexible, very similar to what you see from high boxing. I think styling wise, KFPLAN have done a really good job with this one. I know I keep saying it, but I do really like the way this one looks. Now, I've done a little bit of research, and as far as I'm aware, there isn't really any other 1/12 scale short course trucks out there in the market. And 1/12 scale trucks are definitely growing in popularity, and I do think it's because 1/12 scale trucks are a little bit easier to transport, but not only that, they do perform very similar to a 1/10 scale truck. So let's get that body off and take a closer look underneath. So taking a closer look underneath, now again, everything feels really flexible on this. It definitely reminds me of a high boxing HBX, because the plastics on those things are always known for being flexible. Of course, this has metal oil-filled adjustable shocks, and they do feel really nice. Let's turn this around and have a look at the rear. Again, the rear feel nice as well. Now, of course, this has metal CVDs on the front, dog bones on the rear, and they're definitely not the thickest dog bones I've ever seen, but we'll see how this thing holds up later. It's always nice to see that you can make adjustments to this as well, although I find on a lot of these ready to runs, you very rarely make any other adjustments, and you just run them as they are out the box. So underneath, this has a metal chassis, and it does use Hex hardware. So let's talk about the tyres on this. Now, these things feel really soft, really grippy. I think these are going to do really well in the dirt. So let's move on to the electronics. Now, this thing is using a 45 amp 2 to 3S capable Hobbywing ESC. I just took the heatsink off the motor just to double check the spec, and it's a 2845 3800 kV motor. The steering servo on this, whilst it might not sound the most powerful thing, I think it's going to be enough for this 1/12 scale vehicle. As I was showing you this, I did notice it says centre differential. That's not actually true. Now, instead, this thing has a slipper clutch. That seems like a genuine mistake on the box. We'll let them away with that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff you get in the box as well. Here we have a bag of accessories, which includes some basic tools. I've just noticed something actually on my big Traxxas banner on the wall. Technically, this is no longer true. Maybe I should cross that out. This one tells you where to put the stickers. This one is for the FlySky transmitter and receiver. And then finally, the Hobbywing ESC. Battery wise, this comes with a 2200 mAh 3S. This does look very similar to what you get with the Rlaarlos. With this, they also include a proper balance charger. This is actually really nice. I've seen this before. Finally then, here we have the FlySky transmitter. Again, very basic, but these things do get the job done. Under here is the usual adjustments. Yeah, not too bad for an affordable ready-to-run RC car. So I've got this powered on. Let's check out that steering servo. That's not too bad. So let's head out and see how this thing performs. The first thing we need to do is give it a speed test. So it was at this point I realised I completely forgot to pick up my GPS, so we're going to rely on a couple of my fellow RC YouTubers to give us an idea as to how fast this thing actually goes.
What did we get? Doesn't feel as fast as the other one, the Outcast lookalike. 40.
Woo! I think we're gonna hit that advertised 60. Wow, here it goes, wheelie again. That's what you got, guys. 63 kilometers an hour. So yes, true to its spot speed, a little bit faster even.
So what we noticed there was it will easily do up to 40 miles per hour, which is more than enough for a 1/12 scale short course truck. Next up, of course, we need to test this thing out off-road. So here we go, first off-road test of this KF17 by KFPLAN. Yeah, this thing is quick. So I'm back out at one of my favourite locations at the moment, and it is nice to be back out reviewing stuff again. It's been a nice break away, but I do miss reviewing stuff, and I have got a lot of stuff to be catching up on the channel. You're going to be seeing lots of videos dropping. Now, handling wise, yeah, this thing feels nice. Incredibly stable. And on 3S, the included 3S pack, the power is there and it feels good. Yeah. KFPLAN are definitely up and coming. You know, they're going to be taking on the likes of MJX and Rlaarlo if they keep this up. They're kind of becoming the new high boxing, HBX, because those guys have been insanely quiet. We haven't seen a lot of new stuff from high boxing. You know, I said it earlier in this video, the quality of this feels very similar to the high boxing stuff. And the way they're going, yeah, I think these guys are going to start doing really well. Now, compared to some of the 1/14 scale stuff out there, this thing handles way better because you've got the larger size, which also makes it a little bit more stable compared to the Mojave Grom, for example, and the MJX short course truck. This just feels a little bit nicer on the dirt at a fairly harsh location like this, for a small truck at least. This just feels a little bit nicer to drive. Now, price wise, I'll stick the current price of these up on the screen now. I did forget to mention that earlier. It's really windy today, so apologies if you're getting any wind noise on the mic. But so far, this feels really nice. There's always people out there who say, what's the point of getting something like this if you can't get parts for it? Well, actually, you can get parts for these. All you need to do is search for the part number. All the part numbers are in the manual, and you'll be able to get the bits you need. But of course, you may be waiting up to 2 weeks if the parts have to come from China. You know, that's one of the ongoing debates. Do you go for a big name brand where you can get parts easily, or do you go for something like this, which arguably you are getting more for your money, but you're going to have to be prepared to wait for parts if you do break it. That's an ongoing argument, and that's been ongoing for a good few years now. Yeah, I really like this. So there we go, brand new from KFPLAN, the KF17. I have to say, I think this is one of the best new releases we've seen so far this year. This thing just offers so much value for the money, especially when you compare this to something like the Mojave Grom, which is way smaller and doesn't feel anywhere near as fun as this. And part of the reason for that is because this is a little bit larger and more capable. Yeah, KFPLAN are definitely working their way up the affordable and budget RC ladder. And I think if they keep up the good work like they are, MJX may start to panic. Guys, let me know in the comments section what you make of this KFPLAN. Cheers for watching, see you on the next one. Take care. If you want to see 2 alternative really good options, click one of these videos now.